The procession of bishops, cardinals, and fathers. See, they're taking him to his trial now, to his religious trial. Notice who he's appearing before. The procession of bishops, cardinals, and fathers, and deputies moved toward the church, where a chair had been placed for Huss, about which the seats of the gentlemen were arranged. He was brought there for the convictions of his conscience. He had violated absolutely no civil laws. In fact, when they gave him an opportunity to speak, he said this: God gave to Peter, his disciple, and notice the terminology, very important. God gave to Peter, his disciple, the key to open all hearts and the heaven of faith with it, but not the sword. God gave Peter the what? He gave him the key to open hearts, but not the sword, to slay, as you slay, all those who do not accept your worldly doctrines and who evade them. Did he understand what the sword is? He most certainly understood what the sword was. He said, you haven't been given the sword. You've been given the key to open the heavenly kingdom. When the final vote was taken among the religious dignitaries, 31 votes were cast not guilty. 11 votes were cast for excommunication. And 45 votes were cast for death. And then he was taken to the emperor, who had promised to give him safe conduct back to his home. And he broke his word. And in fact, there was a count there, Count Schlum, who told the emperor, and like to read the words that he spoke to the emperor as he was about to sign the death warrant for Huss. This is what he said: Caesar. Notice he calls him Caesar. Caesar, desist from such doings. Caesar, Caesar, do not write your name with blood. But Poggius continues saying, but the emperor's ears were deaf and were further closed by the cardinals, bishops, and priests who crowded about him, kissed the hem of his garments, and praised his name when he seized the quill and wrote his name. And Huss was taken, and he was burnt at the stake. You know, I've been in the palace of the Inquisition in Lima, Peru. It's a depressing experience. They actually have models where they show the types of torture that were used against people for no reason other than they did not agree with the church. Torture and death. Some were even burned at the stake, like John Huss was burned at the stake. And it wasn't the church who did it, but the church used the sword of the state in order to accomplish its purpose. You see, the constitutional fathers not only knew the history of Europe when church and state are joined together, they also knew the history of the colonial period in the United States. You know, there are many people who misunderstand or don't understand the colonial period. Do you know that during the colonial period, which begins at around 1620, when the Pilgrims arrived in the United States, atheist Jews, Quakers, and Baptists were deprived of their religious rights because they did not agree with the established church of the colonies, which was the Puritans or was the Anglican Church.